Have you been putting off joining your weekend group rides because you're afraid of being dropped no sooner than you started? If so, it could be because you're approaching your training all wrong. And I've seen examples of this all the time. Cyclists avoiding their weekend rides because they're fearing they won't last the pace and they're going to be dropped within a few miles. I even have friends of mine that avoid coming out on their weekend rides with us because they're afraid of being dropped. And the ironic thing is, the longer they leave this, the harder it's going to be for them to continue to come out riding with us, because we're riding regularly at weekends, so we're getting fitter and stronger, and they're always going to be playing catch up. And then when they finally do decide to come out on their weekend rides, I look on their Strava activity and they're doing loads of riding 2 or 3 weeks before they decide to come out. But this is going to be counterintuitive because they're naturally doing an extra amount of riding prior to a weekend ride potentially lead to burnout, overtraining, and when you come to your group ride as well, probably going to be quite fatigued and tired. So going to be struggling to maintain the wheel because they've overtrained leading up to their weekend ride. So how can you overcome the fear of avoiding your weekend group rides by building in some consistency with your training during the week? Now, personally for me, I advise all my clients to focus on doing a minimum, if you can, of 4 hours of riding per week. And this only has to be about 3 hours of zone 2 riding, which is generally quite low intensity, and then 1 hard threshold session per week, which could be a zone 4, a zone 5, some FTP efforts, some VO2 max efforts, something along those lines. That's just going to make you work a little bit harder to progress your fitness. And then just view your weekends as a little bonus on top of the riding you're doing week in, week out. Because if you're avoiding doing any riding in the week and then want to go out on your weekend rides, naturally you're going to feel quite anxious and overwhelmed because you haven't done much riding for the weeks or months leading up to your weekend group ride. But if you can build some form of consistency within your week where you can maintain that week in, week out, regardless of whether you're going to be riding at weekends or not, then you're going to build a good solid foundation of fitness that's going to see comfortably throughout the year with a good level of fitness. And then when you start riding more, generally during the spring and summer months, that fitness is only going to increase when you start riding more at weekends. So focus on building some form of consistency around your work and life commitments. Doesn't even have to be 4 hours of riding per week. It could be just half an hour, 2 or 3 times a week on the turbo trainer, something that you can maintain and be consistent with around work and family commitments. And this is what we really focus on within our Cycle Lean community, trying to build some form of consistency and structure around our clients, their lifestyles and the commitments they have in their life to build a sustainable training plan. A lot of time you might grab a Training Peaks plan offline and it might ask you to do 10 hours of riding per week, but generally that might be quite overwhelming if you haven't done that amount of training in the past. So instead of just providing a generic training plan, we focus on how we can structure a personalized training plan around commitments they have, the challenges they have, and that way we can build lifelong sustainable habits that's going to maintain a good level of fitness all throughout the year. And this just helps them maintain healthier lifestyle off the bike as well as on it. And then when you do have the extra time and you want to ride more and you have the ability to do so, you've already got a good foundation to work from to accelerate and build upon your fitness rather than starting from zero every time you want to get fit. So if you're interested in looking into a more personalized approach to your training, then you can join our Cycle Lean community. I'll post a link in the description below if you want to check out more. But overall, the lesson here for me to you today is just focus on building some form of consistency week in, week out, Monday to Friday, and look at your weekend rides as a bonus. And when you do that, you're going to build a good, strong foundation when it comes to your aerobic fitness and provide yourself with some confidence that when you do get out on your weekend rides with your group, you've got a good foundation there to be able to stick with them, stick with the wheel, and enjoy being out with your mates, having a good ride at the weekends, rather than avoiding it week in, week out of fear of being dropped and not being able to stick with the wheel. So just focus on building some form of consistency throughout the week to help you achieve that. Let me know your thoughts. Do you avoid your weekend group rides out of fear of being dropped? And what kind of consistency do you try and maintain throughout the week to maintain some form of fitness? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.